What is up, everyone? It is SpraynPray1000 here, and today we are going to be doing another episode of The Verdict. I know it has been such a long time since I even did The Verdict, and today we are basically doing a mini reboot in a weird sense, because we're doing it on a completely different computer. So if things are a little different, I apologize. But today we are going to be talking about id Software's latest game, Doom 2016, for the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. Now this is a game that I was very excited to see got announced last year, and it finally came out this May. I know I'm really late with this review, but basically, Doom is a first-person shooter series of games known for its brutality, its classic-style gameplay, and basically being one of the first sort of FPS games to really modernize and revolutionize the genre about 20 years ago. And this is the latest one. I think this is the first really big Doom game since Doom 3. I know they re-released Doom 3 like 1 or 2 times, which is good for Doom. So for the first part, this Doom game comes with 3 different modes. It comes with your campaign, your multiplayer, and then the interesting game mode called Snap Map, which is basically similar to like Halo Reach's Forge and Halo 3's Forge, where users can make their own maps, they can customize them, they can create them, and then they can upload them and share them, and you can have all sorts of different things. But we'll get into each part of the game one by one. So to start off, I'm going to talk about the campaign, which by far, in my opinion, is the strongest aspect of the game. The campaign of Doom 4 has an interesting lore behind it. It has a good story, but really the campaign mostly focuses on the gameplay as opposed to the storytelling. And the gameplay is very fast-paced, and I know that they said it a lot. It really has a nice flow to it once you get into the actual action of the game, which is pretty cool. There's definitely lots of different weapons for you to use. There's lots of different scenarios, and the best part is that unlike most other first-person shooter campaigns, which basically, you know, for the last almost, I want to say, decade, have more or less played pretty identically, Doom has a lot of variety because you're able to traverse the environment. You can do it really quickly, and I mean, again, the emphasis on the fast-paced is as opposed to like COD, where it's very cover-based. You know, you have to stop constantly to heal or to reload. Doom doesn't have any traditional reloading, and taking cover in this game does not really benefit you as much as playing aggressively. And while you certainly can use cover to your advantage, this is not like a typical kind of game where you spend the majority of the game waiting for your chance to peep around a corner and take a few pot shots. Rather, Doom, rather excellently, mixes in all sorts of different gameplay. So there's some enemies that you'll need to run up to and just literally beat down with your fists. There's other enemies that you'll want to shoot from afar with certain weapons, and certain weapons are good against certain enemies. They have the chainsaw, which now uses fuel at units, and you can insta-kill enemies to get a lot of ammo and stuff, and that's really good for refueling. And by far the most excellent part of the single player are the glory kills. Once just about any enemy is low on health, they start to blink, and when they blink, you're able to run up to them and perform a very satisfyingly brutal execution, which then restores some health and maybe some ammo. And really, it mixes up the campaign because you can plan your entire gameplay strategy around leaving enemies vulnerable for that. So if you're in the middle of combat and you're taking a lot of damage, you can just, you know, do a glory kill or two, and then you can easily get back your lost health, and you can get armor from it, and there's all sorts of different things you can do. There's customizations for the runes, which you can equip up to 3 at a time, which allow you to have certain different abilities. So for instance, more glory kills more often, you can perform them faster, you can hold more armor and pick it up quicker. Actually, no, you can't hold more armor, excuse me, but you can hold, you can pick it up faster, and you can generally get ammo for rare guns like the BFG and stuff much faster. And that's all good because that's the kind of, I don't want to say RPG-esque elements, but that's the kind of upgradable, replayable things I like to see in first-person shooter campaigns, because it really lends itself to allowing you to go back and, you know, just have more fun with it. And on top of that, There's upgrades you can get for your health, for your armor, for your ammo capacity, and those really help out. And there's lots and lots of collectibles, old school secrets, and even after the playthrough, I'm still looking through a lot of the levels. You know, not even really using a guide unless I get super stumped, just trying to find all the secrets and the mini figureheads and all that stuff, which is really, really cool. And I'll say this, unlike most other first-person shooter campaigns, or just most games in general, the campaign of this game never really seemed to settle in. And by that I mean, like, there was never a point where I said, okay, well, now I basically know what it is, and, you know, now I just repeat until I get to the end of the game. That really doesn't happen in Doom, in my opinion, because there's always a variety of environments. For example, some areas will have portals, and it's like you're portal hopping while trying to kill enemies, and, you know, trying to avoid the heavy hitters, and also, you know, just trying to get as many glory kills, and, you know, switching weapons so you can manage your ammo, and a lot of cool stuff like that. And by the way, you can carry a multitude of weapons in this game, similar to Wolfenstein: The New Order. And now, for those of you who remember, Wolfenstein: The New Order was one of my favorite first-person shooter campaigns that I had ever played. Way back in, I think, 2015 I played it. I know I was late to that party too, but I think it was 2015 when I played Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein definitely has the high-quality aspect down, but definitely Doom has the replayable kind of sense down, because there's so much to do, whereas Wolfenstein was stealth-based. Doom has the non-stop, constant action down-packed to a T, I would even go as far as to say. So yeah, the campaign, it's not too long, it's not too short. I would say it's just perfect for the amount of stuff in it, and not only is it just perfect for what's in it, it's also, it never gets old. So that definitely contributes a lot to how I feel about the campaign. This is, in my opinion, one of the better campaigns I've played, first-person shooter campaigns I've played. So I will really give a gold star for Doom for its campaign, because it's fun even months later, and I really, really enjoy it, and I really, really like it. And I have to give it credit, because they really did a great job with it, and I really, really enjoyed it. So now we're going to talk next about Snap Map, because I really feel that Snap Map is the wild card. Snap Map is good when there's good maps on it, and it's kind of a little bit unfair to, you know, to say that Snap Map really doesn't contribute much, because it certainly does. But Snap Map is only as good as the maps that people make on it, and while there's some maps that are really, really good, there's some maps that aren't. Really, it's more of a powerful creation tool for the console users. I know that a few PC users are a little upset that it's not as powerful as they want it to be. It really helps, you know, kind of have a nice network where they know it will run and they know it will do things. And it's really interesting, the stuff that people make on it. So Snap Map is not bad by any means, but it certainly requires a lot of talented workers and artists to all come together and design these unique levels. And you can make a lot of stuff on it. So for what it is, even though, you know, it's not as powerful as, say, like SDK or something like that lets you literally build from the engine up what you want to do, what maps you want to do, what archetypes, what images you want to load, and all that kind of stuff. At least for what it does, Snap Map is very, very convenient. It allows you to create any sort of map. You can make a single player sort of expansion. You can make you can make a single player style game, you know, where it's like a story mode, a mini story mode. You can make multiplayer maps, like actual versus competitive. You can make survival maps for one to as many people as you want. You can have co-op maps. The amount of stuff that you can do. This is another one of those tools that I really like seeing in games now, where the amount of stuff that you can do is limited solely by your imagination, which is pretty cool, because it allows for a lot of interesting gameplay. And that's why I did Snap Map Adventures, which in my opinion is one of the most fun things I think I've done in a while, where we got to see a lot of different things about the game. Definitely a lot of cool stuff. A lot of people made really interesting maps, and you know, just for example, I played one Puzzle Room Escape that was pretty interesting. I played another one that was platforming. I played a few that were platforming. You know, there were a couple ones that were, and there was one that was choose your own adventure, and a lot of interesting maps with a lot of interesting gameplay. And I'm hoping that as we continue on with Doom being out, you know, we'll see remakes of classic Doom maps. We'll see, well, we already see them, but we'll see more of it. We'll see more puzzle games, puzzle game mods and stuff like that. So Snap Map definitely, while it should have probably come with more preloaded stuff, I feel, it does have a lot of cool little mini puzzles that you can do that, you know, test your knowledge basically of how it works. It does have a lot of interesting things that other people can do, and it certainly allows this game to stay fresh, and I really, really like that. Now, the last part, I will say this, is the multiplayer is okay. Like, the multiplayer for Doom, I like the customization, I like all the different things you can unlock, but the multiplayer, I will say, is good, but it's really not on the same caliber as the single player. It plays more like a traditional style first-person shooter, although you can definitely feel that it's way more arena-esque than, say, like Call of Duty multiplayer or anything like that. I do like that they have such things like demon runes and stuff that you can pick up, that you can use to transform into demons and get really big kill streaks, and, you know, the team has to work together to take them out, you know, otherwise, you know, that literally can decide the game if a good player gets the rune. And really, the only thing I'll say is that the multiplayer, well, not the only thing, but, you know, I'll say the multiplayer could have probably gone up and above and beyond just a bit more, because it really kind of starts out pretty cool, and then you find out, you know, a couple of guns that are really, really cheap to use, and you find out if, you know, the maps I wouldn't say are bad, it's just that it doesn't really vary much. So as different as the single player is from everything else around it, the multiplayer is like the same, but also has unique elements mixed in, which isn't bad, but it certainly could have more stuff done to it. But I will say this, at least for, what was it? Well, I lost my train of thought. At least for $60, what I'll say is the multiplayer is good, but not excellent, like I would say the campaign is. The Snap Map is a wild card, but tends to be on the side of good. So there's a lot of good stuff contained in Doom 2016. Doom 2016 has a lot of interesting and diverse gameplay for a first-person shooter, and I'm really, really glad I got to play it. I'm really, really glad that they have a lot of cool stuff in the actual game that you can really play out. And, you know, playing the game on higher difficulties, of course, means that you have to plan out stuff more. And, you know, Snap Map lets you share stuff with your friends if you're really good. Like, it's really like almost, I want to say, like, it's very Halo-esque in that sense, you know, if you played Halo, because that was a big one. I mean, obviously this sort of groundwork existed long before, but it's very, very, like, if you played Halo Forge, you'll recognize this almost right away. And it's great that they did it like that, because it's very easy to understand and jump in, and I like that. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. And, you know, I can't wait to see what they do if they make another Doom game. So what would I give Wolfenstein? Yeah, Wolfenstein: The New Order already got a review. I'm losing my mind, apparently, because I'm an idiot. What would I give Doom 2016? Well, while I would say that Wolfenstein I could definitely give a really, really high number because the campaign was just out of this world amazing, I'm going to give Doom a little bit lower than what I gave The New Order. I'm going to give Doom an 88 out of 100, merely because while the single player is excellent and the Snap Map is good, the multiplayer kind of weighs it down a bit. Not so much that it needs to be removed, but at the same time I feel that they could have added more diverse elements to the multiplayer. They could have fixed it up a little bit, and it is still enjoyable, which is why I gave it an 88. It's still enjoyable. It's a kick-ass game, and I'll say that, but, you know, certain elements of it could be fine-tweaked. And yeah, I really, really liked it. You know, I really hope that they make another one of these, another Doom. Like, I don't know if they're going to call it Doom 2 or something, but, like, you know, just a new Doom game sometimes in the near future would be cool, because this game just kicked ass. And I mean, how much simpler could I put it? It's just great. But yeah, so that is it for this episode of The Verdict. The only thing that I will additionally put on is that I am a little disappointed that the game, and this does not factor into the score at all because it has nothing. It has, it's something completely different. I'm a little bit disappointed that they chose not to make any single player expansions, at least none that have been announced. There's no official Bethesda single player expansions coming out. It's all the season pass apparently only includes multiplayer. I'm a little bit saddened by that, given the quality of single player. That's not to say anything of the multiplayer expansion, but I wish that, for the fact that the single player is so well done, I wish we could get more of it, more of it right from the source. But, yeah, that's not, I didn't factor that into the review because it's unfair for me to judge a game based on what's in the season pass, and certainly Doom is not lacking in any regard that I would majorly deduct from the game for, but that's going to be it for this episode of The Verdict. I'm SpraynPray1000, and I will see you next time. I promise you they won't be as delayed as they are, but yeah, I will see you guys next time for another edition of The Verdict.